Hi everyone, my name is Agbanyera Chukudebe and I'm an educator, writeress of First Play Learn, the Learning Academy, which is Play Learn is about to celebrate their 25th anniversary, so we started in 1999. And I'm also the project, it's all one school, but a different name, Lawrence Princess Academy, which is the middle and high school, the secondary part of the school. And they will be celebrating their 10th year anniversary this year. Well, what shaped me? I will start with my mother. My mother, Ilola Chukudebe, she had her master's in early childhood education. She was an African American who met my father when he came to the States for his education sometime in the 60s. They fell in love and they got married, and then they had 5 children. I'm the third of 5 children. So my mother, I would say I was influenced largely by my mother. She had the first Play Learn in Enugu when we were young. I was an opportunity to go to the nursery school, but my younger brother and sister were. After that, I just found that I had a natural love for children. I just grew up knowing that I had this deep affinity to work with kids. So I started volunteering when I was a teenager. My first job was with children as teachers' assistants and working with children in nursery schools, preschools, after school programs, and it just grew from there. I thought I was supposed to be a medical doctor, but I got up to medical school and basically found myself and found that discovered I was supposed to be an educator. And everything it became part of my history. As I mentioned before, although I always knew I had a natural love and affinity for children, for working with children, it came to me naturally. But I lost my father in 1985, and it was really from something that really could have been avoided. So at the time, I thought I was meant to be a medical doctor, and I had this dream, just like my father did, of going and getting my education and coming back to Nigeria, being in the hospital to prevent, what led to the loss of my father. But along the lines, I discovered that I was really meant to do what came to me naturally. So my undergrad, I went to Mills College in Oakland, California, and my first degree was as a pre-med biology major. Then I loved writing, so I also wrote a lot. Also, eventually, I got up to medical school, an interview for medical school, and that's when I discovered that this really wasn't what God had planned for me. So then I went back and applied to get my master's in education. And I ended up getting my master's at Harvard and came back to Nigeria. And instead of being in the hospital, I went to school. As I mentioned before, when I wanted to start my school, I asked my mother if I could use the name Play Learn, because I love the name, and I also wanted to, pay homage to her. So she told me at the time that it might be a little bit difficult because Nigeria at the time, while we were very good, excellent in a lot of our educational sectors, early childhood was not something that was very well known throughout the country. So having a name like Play Learn, a lot of the general society did not really relate play to learning. So she warned me that she had a hard time with that name in Enugu in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. It was very difficult at that time to get people to buy into this concept of learning through play. So I knew going in that the mission and vision that I had for Play Learn, I would have to involve a lot of training. So every teacher that came into my doors that I employed, we had to be trained. So I trained all my teachers. So we had yearly 2-week trainings, and they will continue throughout the session to always keep my teachers abreast of the international standards about teaching children, especially early childhood education. In time, other schools started asking questions and asking for help and asking for just guidance or trying to pick my brain as they were trying to develop their own schools, their own programs, their own visions. And I would do this for them, just pro bono, because I just love education. eventually, about 2 years back, we decided to start it as a consult and start having trainings. And for the first time, we charged. And more people started asking about it. So I decided, well, there goes the birth of Aunty Abby's Consult. One of the biggest requests that I would get over the years had to do with child development. That was one of the biggest. For teachers to understand, and proprietresses and head teachers wanted their staff and their teachers to understand what it meant to teach each child at their level. So knowing that the way I teach a 10-year-old is not the way I teach a 6-year-old. The way I teach a 6-year-old is not the way I teach a 3-year-old. So childhood development, and especially early childhood development, that was a biggie. So all the trainings we've had, child development is that takes up a large part of the time. Also teaching the younger child, because as I mentioned before, we have come a long way from the 80s and 70s, but we still have a long way to go. So a lot of people have questions about how to teach younger children and how to train their teachers to, communicate and basically work with younger children. So those two are huge. Other ones that we get have to do with lesson plan, delivery, classroom management. So these are workshops that have been developed, and we've been working on some new things we're going to add are things like differentiated learning, teaching to make sure your children understand, assessment, and of course, in today's world, technology. How to infuse technology into many of the programs. So that and so much more you can get from, and you'll find Aunty Abby's Consult offering. Well, first of all, I would say Aunty Abby. I'm the last person I'm not very good at giving my whole profile, but I've been doing this for a very long time. And I know I learned a lot getting my master's of the courses from Harvard, and a lot of the organizations and schools I've worked with are extremely well renowned. So I have a very strong background. Also, I've been doing this pretty much all my life. And whatever I do, I back it up with research. I study, I go for updates with programs, and I just keep myself abreast of whatever is new in education. And I'm actually living what I am teaching. So my teachers give me feedback, my children give me feedback, my parents give me feedback, and whatever I'm teaching has worked over the years. We have children who are, they are scoring above average in whatever field that they enter, and our children excel wherever they go. So I'm coming to you, and everyone who works with me is coming from you with a very unique background in that we live what we are giving. Another thing that makes Aunty Abby's Consult unique and special is that when I started this, my main focus is teachers. My main focus are the people, the ones who, hands-on work with the children. Because I was taught that if you want children to be treated well, then treat the teachers well. So if I want the best for my children, I'm not in the classroom with the children. My teachers are. So what I want to give to my children, I have to pass on to my teachers. So this is what I want every school owner, every head teacher, every principal, superintendent, the people who are in charge of ministries of education, they have to know that their teachers are the ones hands-on working with the children. They are in charge. They mold the product. And so I know that I listen to teachers and I try to find out what they need. And so if you come to Aunty Abby's Consult, know that as a parent, as a teacher, as a school owner, as management, you are going to get what you need to ensure that you give your children the best. Because why are we doing this if not for the children? Okay, first of all, I have a phenomenal team working with me. And so whatever you need, myself and my team will be able to provide. As I mentioned before, we have already started with summer programs. So we're going to have this will be our third 2024 summer teachers training program. So we have a lot planned up, and our flyer is posted on this page also. Another way that you can also access our services is what I've been doing in the past, which is meeting with teachers and proprietaresses and head teachers. We have one-on-one consults. We have done some trainings where we've been to schools and actually trained all of their staff in whatever they need. We kind of fine-tune and fashion the training according to the needs of the school. So while people could come for the trainings that we organize, like we're going to have some trainings around the country in various states. So we'll let you know when we're coming to your town. We can have workshops, 1 to 2, 3-day workshops on teaching the younger child, or about teaching older children, that is lesson plan, classroom management. So we can have these workshops where we come to your city and have these short workshops. We can also have longer ones where we can be stationed at a place and different schools can come. We can come to your schools individually, or I can have one-on-one sessions with various either teachers or head teachers or proprietors and proprietresses. Teachers are the main individuals that work with children one-on-one, but they're not the only ones. So of course, we do focus on all aspects of the school. So yes, we focus on teachers, and that does include caregivers. So the people who might not be trained as teachers, but do have a large impact on children, like the caregivers and the nannies and other people who work with very young children, even people who work in different capacities. We do also work with management. That's a very big section that I've worked with in the past. As I mentioned before, I've worked with some proprietresses who either had schools already up and running or they wanted to start schools. So we looked at their vision and mission, looked into their things that, for the ones that wanted to start schools, we looked at things like developing curriculum, making sure that their mission and vision lives a day-to-day in the lives of their teachers and children, how to set up rules and hire different, even hiring process. And when we work with management, private schools have a lot of challenges. I've experienced them in my own school. So I might not have all the answers, but definitely sitting in a round table or just one-on-one with somebody else has helped me a lot, and other proprietors and people in management, to talk about things like challenges like teacher retention, how to retain teachers. Training teachers is a high cost. How do we do that to remain abreast and to remain competitive in this, on this field where we have so many different private schools? How do you come up with a focus and make sure that you're not basically competing with another school? How can you focus on your own school and make sure you're giving your parents and your children the best? Relating with parents, I also have a lot of workshops where we talk about how parents can play a part in their children's education. The teachers can't do it all, the schools can't do it all. So we have a lot of workshops where we work with parents, let them know what they can do to lead to their children's success. Even outside of academics, we have so many other topics that have to do with making sure we're reaching the whole child. So no, Aunty Abby Consult, even though we primarily work with teachers, we also work with all different stakeholders, including parents.